From the ankle-breaking world's most dangerous man to putting on some face paint and being a champion, these are UFC fighters who moved to WWE. Combat sports and sports entertainment have been linked for a long time, sharing people's interest in drama and storytelling and their love of combat. In the first WrestleMania in 1985, boxer Muhammad Ali was a special guest referee. We've watched world champion boxer Floyd Mayweather entertain fans in the boxing ring, cross over to fight in the WWE, and face off against UFC legend Conor McGregor in a boxing super fight. Athletes who choose a career path in combat sports are wired differently. They're constantly looking for new challenges. So it's no surprise that many UFC fighters have taken their talents outside of the octagon and joined Vince McMahon's sports entertainment behemoth, World Wrestling Entertainment. This includes the ankle-breaking world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, who, after 9 fights in the UFC, decided to try and grow his brand in the sports entertainment industry, making his first appearance at ringside in February 1997. Shamrock was soon dropped into the middle of the biggest feud in the industry at the time, between Bret Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake. Shamrock was named the special guest referee for their match at WrestleMania 13, and his character was off and running, becoming one of the most feared wrestlers on the entire roster. Shamrock won the King of the Ring tournament in 1998, and later that year won an 8-man tournament, capturing the World Intercontinental title. He then teamed up with the Big Boss Man and became a dual champion, winning the World Tag Team Championship. His career ended in 1999 after being injured during a match with rival Chris Jericho, but he'll be remembered as one of the fiercest competitors of the WWE's Attitude Era, and one of the first UFC fighters to cross over. It was a very smart move for Shamrock, as the UFC was still in its infancy and didn't have the exposure to make anyone a superstar in the same way the WWE could. Some fighters have decided that they may not be cut out for the UFC, like Shayna Baszler, who, after just 2 battles in the octagon, both losses, the UFC decided to pull the plug. She decided to explore her options as a WWE personality. But we can't look down on her for not winning either of her fights, since she fought Bethe Correia and Amanda Nunes, arguably the 2 greatest female fighters in UFC history. On August 30th, 2014, at UFC 177, Correia beat her by TKO in the 2nd round. And the following year, at UFC Fight Night 62, her fight with Amanda Nunes was stopped in the 1st round, after she was pummeled with constant leg kicks and was unable to continue. It was a fortunate stroke of luck for Shayna. After making her televised debut on WWE's NXT brand in December 2017, she won the NXT Women's Championship in April 2018, holding the title for 133 days before losing it to Kairi Sane, but won it back by defeating Sane on October 28th, becoming the first 2-time NXT Women's Champion. In 2020, paired with Nia Jax, she won the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, lost the titles to Asuka and Charlotte Flair, then won them back, becoming 2-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, tying the women's record. Her storyline would merge with a former UFC superstar in 2022, when at Survivor Series War Games, she was joined at ringside by her real-life best friend and SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey, who joined the WWE in 2018 after leaving the UFC and putting women's mixed martial arts on the map. No one has done more for the state of women's mixed martial arts than Rousey, who, in November 2012, was the first female fighter to sign with the UFC and was named the first UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion by President Dana White. She made her first defense of the title at UFC 157 in February 2013, defeating Liz Carmouche in the 1st round, submitting her with an armbar, and starting her record-setting title reign. Rousey fought legend Bethe Correia at UFC 190 on August 1, 2015, in Brazil. She knocked her out 34 seconds into the 1st round and dedicated the match to WWE great Rowdy Roddy Piper, who passed away the previous day, saying that he was a huge inspiration to her and the reason for her choosing to share the Rowdy nickname with him. It was her 6th UFC fight, all victories, and had made over $1 million in prize money, even though she'd only spent less than 18 total minutes in the octagon. That works out to over $1,000 per second of fight time, and her average fight time of 2 minutes and 59 seconds was the least of any UFC weight class. In her next fight, her 7th title defense, Rousey faced Holly Holm in the main event at UFC 193 on November 15, 2015. Even though she was a heavy betting favorite, it marked the end of her dominance in the sport after being knocked out by a head kick in the 2nd round. She lost her title, her undefeated streak, and was put on medical suspension by the UFC due to the severity of the knockout. Ronda returned for one more fight, a title fight against dominant champion Amanda Nunes at UFC 207 in December 2016. Ronda couldn't escape Nunes' constant barrage of power punches, and the fight was stopped early in the first round, marking the last time she'd compete in the UFC, telling Ellen DeGeneres that her return to the UFC was as likely as her competing in judo at the Olympics. She was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame in July 2018, but not before her WWE debut in January, when she made a surprise appearance at the Royal Rumble. This kickstarted her rise to fame in the sports entertainment industry. Winning the Raw Women's Championship title and the SmackDown Women's title helped her rank amongst the top 20 richest MMA fighters, with an estimated net worth of over $12 million and being the only woman in the top 20. Having Vince McMahon showcase you is a surefire way to grow your audience, and certainly your net worth, as former UFC fighter Matt Riddle can attest to. Riddle was picked to compete on the 7th season of the UFC's The Ultimate Fighter and looked like he elongated right out of the gate, earning a knockout win in his first fight just 9 seconds into the second round. He didn't win the tournament, but was signed to a UFC contract nonetheless. Riddle made his Octagon debut at the Ultimate Fighter finale in June 2008, winning that fight against Dante Rivera and 4 of his first 5 fights, causing his star to rise. But his wins over Chris Clements and Che Mills were changed to no contests after he tested positive for marijuana. And after a second failed drug test in 2013, the UFC cut him loose. In 2014, Riddle also went on to announce that he was training for a career in professional wrestling after competing on the independent circuit until 2018. Riddle made it to WWE's developmental brand, NXT. He was chosen to be on WWE's main roster and went on to win a United States World Championship title, multiple Raw World Tag Team Championships, and an NXT Tag Team title. Talk about becoming a star! Without the failed drug tests in the UFC, who knows how far he could have risen up the ranks? But one thing is for sure, like all of the mixed martial artists before him, catching the eye of multi-billionaire Vince McMahon is always a good thing for your career. Dana White has grown the UFC to previously unimaginable heights, but Vince is the OG in the sports entertainment space. It's highly unlikely martial artists will ever profit in the UFC like they could under the WWE label, so fighters who may not be cut out to be stars in the combat world can always call Vince, learn some lines, and live out their dreams without getting knocked out by a head kick. They may even get to put on some face paint and be a champion. So, from putting on some face paint and being world champion to the ankle-breaking world's most dangerous man, those were UFC fighters who moved to WWE.
Pro wrestling is where I get more damage. I got more damage. MMA is an area where I was good, right? So when I went into a fight, I could finish a guy in a minute.